We are back, and today I want to talk about a very special asset in a very special plugin in the asset library. It's called the Phantom Camera by Ramox. It is very easy to use, very simple to use too, very simple to understand. But it's not exactly plug and play, but you can get very very fast, uh, regardless of what you want to do. Actually, maybe some of the things are easier to get than others, but it's easier to get the behavior you want with just very minimal feeling, very minimal tweaks, and definitely very minimal coding. More than anything, there's probably more feeling and testing the different parameters of the nodes than actually coding. Is really is it if there's some coding that may need to be done. For example, in the solution I use it for was to have a 3D camera, and as you can see, it can go around. It is fully analog, so if I just proceed a little bit, it's lower, and then if I go all the way, it's faster. So it's an analog solution. Same goes for zooming out, slow, and then faster. And of course, it also changes height. I like when I change height, it also zooms out. I do like that functionality. So that's something that I have to code in. It's not something that comes with the plugin. Like if you plug in, uh, it's not going to have this functionality out of the box. It's something that you have to program it, but it's very easy to do. It took me less than half an hour to get to this point, and it has many additional stuff. For example, if I go around a wall, it automatically zooms when I go around it. So that's a very handy function. Another thing that I wanted to show, it was this particular, if something occludes the character, it will automatically zoom in. Now there are many options to make things smoother and make, for example, there's some damping options. Let's see. There are some twins, there are also some damping when. Let me see if I can see it. Yeah, there's a lot of things, of course. There's a lot of options. You can you can mm, you can use to tweak the camera to how you like it. Damping, for example, damping. Let's add a damping function here. And I'm surprised that I don't have the damping, and I probably did it so that it changes like faster. On some instances, that might be depending on how you want to use the camera. You might want it to instantly change, for example, or something like that. So yeah, you probably saw some. Now you can see that is much smoother. The changes. It wasn't last time when you probably saw like it was when I was going this way and I was very far. It like started like I don't know moving back and forth. I don't know how do you call that. But yeah, if we go now, it definitely looks smoother. I will say, and that's not the only thing it can do. Of course, you can move around, use different cameras, and interpolate between them, and they can have different behaviors. This is the behavior, of course, that I program it because I wanted this behavior. Of course, I've been playing around for the past few videos with this kind of behavior, but this camera can do all sorts of things. For example, here, when I go into the platform, it will change the behavior. Now it's not a manual behavior, but it's staying on. It's still following the character, but it's no longer following it close. And when I get out, it instantly goes back. And if I were to go looking in this direction, look what happens. It automatically gets to where it's supposed to go. So you can have, for example, like a fixed. This will be like a fixed camera in this particular platform for some reason. I don't know. For some reason, and then you can go back to a manual camera, and you can do lots of things like that. So there are various examples of what it does. Now I wanted to quickly go to how did I set it up. There's uh, not much to go by it. I mean, each for the most part it's very easy to use, and the documentation is amazing. As long as you follow the documentation, you should pretty much do everything in just a couple minutes. So you need the camera to be on on top of your scene, and not as the root of the scene or as the parent of the scene, but as one of the childs in the scenes that you want. And you need a camera 3D. You only need one. You can have different phantom cameras to 3D or 2D, but you only need one camera 3D. And then that camera 3D need to have the camera host. And what it's doing pretty much is that these camera 3Ds are going to sort of control the camera 3D. This phantom camera 3D is going to take control of the camera when it becomes the higher priority. That's how you control which one is controlling them. And of course, you can tell them what to do. In the case of this example, this camera, the phantom camera 3D, it's the one that is following the player. So this one is the manual camera, and this other phantom camera is the one that is looking at the platform. And of course, what it does, if we look at here at the priorities, that I simply changing the priority between the two. Here I have a priority of 1, but when you get into the platform, you can see that it has like an area. And when you get into the area, then it changes the let me see if I have the area here. The area might be on, let me see, where is, I might have the area. Oh, here it is. So here the area is sending a signal, of course, that tells this node, I call it the cam master. The cam master, okay? And of course that all it is doing is pretty much telling which camera is going to be used by changing the priority. So if it says that you enter this place, of course this area, it will then, of course, that area sends a signal to the cam master, and then the cam master is going to tell, okay, you have to change the priority, and you have to change the priority. It's that simple. So on and so forth. The cam master also have, you can see it here. You have the different cameras. So pretty much, I have it as a sort of camera manager that can have lots of cameras and have the the cam master switching between them depending on what happened in the scene. And you can have different areas around. That's how I set it up. There are many things how to set it up. The cam man, on the other hand, is the one that is doing all the manual, because of course the manual controls is something I added. So this is done by the cam man. Of course, all the cam man is doing all the calculations and doing how much it needs to move, and then it tells the parent. You can see it very easily if I go to the code. At the end, it does all the calculations and all the calculations of where the camera should be and everything, and then it goes to the parent and tell, okay, do this, because that's how easy it is to control the camera. All you have to do is use the functions that it had for the different stuff, like the length or the rotation degrees, as you can see here, and then it just tells the camera to do it. So those all the calculations for the movement of the camera. Okay, this is what you have to do. So it's sort of like a cameraman. So if I had different cameramans doing different sort of behavior independently of if it is like manual or no, I will probably do it something like that. So like every Phantom camera has is sort of camera control, or the node that controls the camera stuff. So I do all the coding of how the camera will be controlled on that node. That's how I will do it. And a camera manager that overall changes the camera depending on what's happening on the level. That's that's how I will do it, and that's how I did it in this uh, quick demo. Like I say, it took me I say like half an hour, maybe an hour. It was really fast to do because it is a lot of the functionalities already on the Phantom camera. It's a matter of adding a little bit of code. Let me show you the cam master. So a little bit of code here to just change, and a little bit of code here to make some easy calculations on the Phantom cameras, and then the Phantom cameras control the camera. And you really only have one camera on on the entire scene, which is the camera 3D, but you have different phantom cameras. If you get what I say, different phantom camera nodes and solutions. So that was pretty much on what I work with uh, myself, of course, but there are actually various examples of other. That's one thing. Not only it has, that's another good thing about this plugin. Not only it has amazing documentation. Here's the documentation, and it goes pretty much over everything in detail with examples, and you can see like a example of how to do something, how to write something, and also it sometimes have videos. I Let me see if I can find a video of something. Sometimes it has video. Well, not every. Let me see overview. Glued. Oh, there's a video here finally. So sometimes it have a video showing you how it looks, and of course it still have like the examples and how you do every you use every function. But it's very easy, and of course it pretty much tells you everything. Everything that you need to know on the camera, I will say, is there. Is there. And it's very easy to follow. It's very simple. There's not an overwhelming amount of information that you have to go through. It's actually very brief, and it's very. That's maybe one of the reasons why it's so fast to pick up. Uh, so let's also, besides the documentation, another thing that it has is the examples. And it has example scenes, both 2D or 3D. I'm going to start to some of the 3D ones, but it shows the different behavior. For example, here's a group one, and if we use the scene, you will see that it shows, right, a sort of behavior in which it's trying to keep all the entire group on the frame, on the camera, on the perspective. So all the so if they could be, if there were multiple players, the camera will zoom out, or maybe enemies, so that you don't lose sight of the enemies. That could be uh, a win, and that's something you could do. For example, you could have a manual camera. I have a manual camera that just follows the player, and then a manual camera that also for sort of uh, works like this. It could be manual. Maybe it will be a little bit limited in that it might not have the zooming. You might not be able to use the zooming function. Of course, you're the programmer, so you choose. This is like hypothetical. If you were to write a camera, you could still do something like that and rotate around, while still not losing sight of the enemy. I have something that like that probably, and it will be easy as simply shifting from one camera to the other when the enemies appear, for example. And there's a 2D version of a similar behavior like this one. There's, let me see, group. So even with 2D, this is a very Smash Bros. Like behavior, right? If I get close, it gets closer, it feels like Smash Bros. And of course, it gets That's one of the behaviors. Another completely different one. Let me see what frame. Let's go to the 3D. Let's go to this 3D scene because this 3D scene has like. Oh wait, that was my. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. So we sort of have an over the shoulder, but it shows. If you look at that, it shows how to move. It sort of move my character too. Let me get my character far away. It moved my character in perspective, but it moved my character, but also put the camera in the right perspective. So this is will be like an RPG in which you're you know talking to a NPC, and you can see that they color pretty much the area. So you're entering the area in which you can talk to the NPC, and then the camera compensates so that you know. And there's the fixed camera example for those old style games like Resident Evil and that stuff. You have this sort of functionality to that you can add, and it's very out of the box. A lot of this functionality is all based on what type of camera, type of following the character, the type. I don't know how did it, let me remember how did the phantom camera. So in the type of follow mode, that's how they call it, follow mode. So there are different follow modes, and depending on this, also depending in that example with the the different camera angles that change instantly, you will need to make sure that the twin parameters they need to be zero. Otherwise, you will have a smoother change between the different points of view. So I'm almost sure if we go to the that, let me see if it's fixed camera. Okay, if we look at the fixed camera here and we look at the fixed camera twin, you can see that the duration is zero. That's how you change instantly between the cameras, right? By putting the twin on zero, it's an instant change. Otherwise, it's a smooth change. So let's try some of the other scenes. Well, there's the 2D example scene we didn't see the basic 2D examples. I committed the same mistake again. Okay, now, and of course, you can see that the the camera sort of follow you, but it has like a little bit of a damp. It's probably the damp. That's definitely the damp. It's sort of a lag, but it also have like a swing. No, my God, what is happening here? I think my keyboard it wasn't doing this. I think my keyboard might be. But yeah, if you press, stay a while. It does the zoom, and you have the GUI thing, the UI element, and the same goes here. But this one is an inventory. For some, I don't know. I never mess around with the options here, so I don't know why suddenly. Oh, it might be because when I was programming my camera, I did mess around with the input map. But yeah, that thing that happened there, it wasn't doing it early. I just, well, oops. I think I messed up a little bit of the 2D and the 3D. But oh, the paths, well, the path scene is very cool in the 3D one. So that's another thing that you can do. Again, so now you have a normal. Right now, I have a normal control of the right. But when I get here, you will see that the camera is now on a path on the top. Right? And then it's now on another path. He still follows the player to the path, but he stays on the path. So that's another thing you can do. You saw how I put it on a simple in my memo. I put it on a simple platform and change the perspective. But you can have a thinking about hypothetical solutions. You can have a game in which you have manual controls and then you might be on the side of a cliff and you might want the camera on the side of the cliff to behave, like this, like it's seeing things from the side. Not from the top, but from the side of the cliff. And then when you finish you get to the other side of the cliff, then you go back to manual control. Something like that should be really possible. And it should not be that hard to do. But yeah, this, I have to say, this camera, it was very, very surprising how much it can give you without really you doing much. The third person is also a good one. This is more like an Uncharted type stuff. Wow, I'm really. Now I can aim, but I can also. And if you see, it's following the direction I'm hitting. So the character is rotating toward the direction I'm not towards the direction that if that is sort of a weakness with the demo I will say, but it's fine. I can press space and now of course another camera took over. We know the trick, of course, still the same. And the other trick that it has is that if you press the right mouse clip, it goes into a third person view. That's why I call it the Uncharted. However, the character is still rotating when you move around. You can see it because of the triangle on the head. That will not happen. You instead will have more tank-like controls in which you can strafe, more like a first-person shooter when you are on over the shoulder. But yeah, I mean, it's still the important thing is the behavior of the camera because that's something we can program it. It should not be that hard. It will be a character. It's a character thing. It's not a camera thing. It's a character thing. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, this was a really cool asset. I have to say, probably Definitely the simplest, most easiest to use one that still gives you a lot of versatility. And the best thing is that it's not even finished. They apparently it's very early. They say that it's like version zero point 0.4 or something like that. I think. Let me check. Uh, it was okay. Version zero point 0.6. They don't consider it a finished version, but it is very far along in that. At least I think. Well, I don't know how far along because I don't know what their plan is, but in terms of functionality and all the features, yeah, I will say if you can think of anything, you probably can do most things. Now, if I were to say it might have a problem, I will say that it seems, and that it's mostly information from the documentation. I think it was the animations. Apparently, this camera doesn't play along too well with animation players. So I don't know about it, but at least it seems like I wonder if I can do like an animation, a quick animation here. I'm not really sure what they meant. They might meant something else specifically. It might have been the priority actually. But hmm, well, it's probably that my code is overriding the. So let me, for now, I'm going to go and change. Let's see if no, that completely broke it. I'm going to. I want to save it, so let me save it as a scene, so I can completely erase it. Delete the node. Let's have it. Hmm. It is not changing. So I wonder. And it's on the right camera. So I wonder if it just is because it doesn't play along with the. Let me check again to make sure that. Okay, that's on 4. Now this one is 8. Well, this is weird. It says that it has a value of 4. Oh, you cannot really change the value. So if I put a value of 1 here, okay, now it's changed. Now this one a value of 4. Let's change it to 8. This one has a value of 1. Let's change it to 4. Should it now? Should it now work? No, it doesn't work. So I don't know what are the limitations for the Phenom camera. And I mean, if I do the animation on the camera 3D, I know it's going to work. It's just that on the parameters for the it will not always seem to work or do anything. Of course, we can try something else, like the priority. Let's try. Right now, let's try and let's check for the priority. So this is weird. Okay. So now we have a priority here, and let's have a negative one bar. Oh, you cannot have well. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I just changed it to 0 then. So this one is 0. This one is 1. Let's go to the other camera and have a priority of 0 first. And then so this one is 0. This one is 1. And then, of course, I will have let's make sure that the animation lasts 2 seconds, so there is enough time to see that it should switch between the two. So let's see what happens. It sort of it works. I mean, yeah, it works. So I don't know really what it meant that maybe some parameters will work and other parameters may not work. It could depend on what they are doing. At least this one didn't seem to work. The animation player. We have the full camera. Let me remove these two. So they definitely doesn't seem to work. And I removed the node that was controlling the spring arm and the follow parameters. So it should work. Maybe it's because the follow parameters are based on pretty much it's like adding a resource or something like that. Maybe you can only change the ones that are added based on the follow mode. So if I put the follow mode or not, well, maybe I can change something here. Like let's let's add something here and let's change it very exaggerated so that actually I think this one has to be negative. Oh wait, no. 0 and then negative 24. Let's see if it changes. Okay, maybe I should not use 0, instead use 1. Okay, 1, 1, 1. Okay, that was the thing. So it's now doing something. The animation is, but you have to be careful because well, it will be interesting how is the proper way to use the animation player with the Phantom camera. Definitely, there seems to be some quirks about it. But yeah, overall, I will say, oh, this is such an easy to use camera with so many possibilities. I definitely say it's probably the one. Well, I don't know. I haven't used any other, but right now it's the winner sort of the. If you need a camera, probably the one you should try first. Like I said, it's not a simple plug in and play. It is not like it will solve your problems just by putting it on the scene and there you go. No, you have to set it up. But it's all that process is easy, and even the programming is easy, and you don't need that much programming. So yeah, that was the Phantom camera. Really cool, really cool asset.